Hi again guys, and welcome to another installment of B-Road Ballers on Forza Horizon 3. This is a review series for the hatchbacks, both older and newer, featured in the game, and is a resource for those who want it to see how cars compare to each other, which ones might be a better deal, that kind of good stuff. Now, there are some cars which most people, petrol heads or otherwise, would just lump in with a certain category, even though, if you think about it, they don't necessarily fall into that category. Hatchbacks, for instance. This car, the Classic Mini, is technically not a hatchback. It's a coupe because it doesn't have hatch access from the back end in the exact same way as the classic Fiat 500. That's kind of strange when you think about it, because people often refer to cars like this as hot hatches, but that's just not the case. Now these days, with the modern one, it is, but back in the day this car technically wasn't. However, we will still be featuring it because that's the kind of class and category that this car is often referred to as, and it's much more competitive here than it would be against, say, coupes, which is what it technically is. So with that being said, how good is the Classic Mini? It's a car which you have to unlock or get from the auction house rather than from the dealership, so is it worth checking out? Is it worth trying to find? Well, for the quoted price of 30 grand, and I don't doubt that you can get it for a lot less, it's a pretty good deal. Now, one of the best things about the Mini, apart from the fact that it's so small, is the range of performance that it has. It starts off in the D class, very low in the D class, but you can tune it all the way up to S1. And in every class, you can get incredible acceleration out of this car. Top-end performance isn't necessarily always going to lead the pack, but for low-end and mid-range acceleration, it's a monster. And of course, it goes without saying that, depending on tuning, it's fantastic through the corners as well. If you choose to keep it front-wheel drive or go for all-wheel drive, whatever you choose to do, it's super small, super nimble, and carries its weight very low, which is a huge advantage to have over some taller, boxier hatchbacks. Now, with that being said, how am I going to rate the car? Because it's much older than many of the other cars in the series, but at the same time it responds to relatively modest amounts of power with fantastic performance, so the potential is definitely there. Well, first of all, as always, we have the handling, and not too surprisingly, I shouldn't think, I'm going to give the Classic Mini a full 5, and incidentally these scores go kind of for the Horizon edition as well, although that car is already a much higher class if I remember correctly, so obviously take that in perspective. But the handling is a definite 5. As I said, it's small, it's compact, it has a low centre of gravity, and above all else, it's fun as well. Not only is it quick, but it's a pleasure to work with. There are some cars which are fast, but aren't necessarily fun, or vice versa. The Mini combines both, and that's one of the reasons why it was so popular in real life as well. As far as acceleration goes, I'm going to give it a 4, because although in stock form with 75 horsepower it's not going to break the bank, when it's tuned, as I said, it's extremely responsive, and it can become a monster in a straight line. But you do have to tune it to get that kind of performance out of it, which is what prevents it from getting a full 5. As far as top-end speed, I'm giving it a 3, because as I said earlier, that's not really this car's forte. It's not the most aerodynamic of cars, it's not really designed even for top-end performance, and it can get a little bit skittish at higher speeds. As far as value for money goes though, well, it's an easy 5, for a similar thing to the overall tuning ability, and that is, it's just so accessible. For 30 grand or less you get a fantastic hatchback, which is technically not a hatchback as we said, that you can use in so many different classes, from D all the way up to S1, for rallying, road racing, even drag racing, because it's so quick in lower end acceleration. And finally, as far as usability goes, well again, I'm giving it a full 5 because it's so good. It's brilliant at pretty much everything you need the car to do. It's not the most beginner friendly of cars. At higher tuning levels it's a little bit skittish, but it's a monster and it will definitely win you races. And overall, I'm giving the Classic Mini a score of 88. But that's it for this pick. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.